We're here with Congressman Rich McCormick on the floor of the Republican National Convention here in Milwaukee. Congressman, I've seen you speak in person many times now. Big advocate for the Indian American community. I'm sure you'll be very pleased to know that data that just came out, that 19% of Indian Americans have renounced their affiliation with the Democratic Party. They've become independent. They have not necessarily gone to President Trump yet, only 2 points picked up by President Trump, but obviously it means the community is very much in play.
You know, when you look at the personality, the Indian diaspora, when they come here, are looking for the American dream. What does that entail? Having the ability to have the freedoms to build a business where the government doesn't limit you, where the government doesn't pick winners and losers. Because quite frankly, the reason that the Indian diaspora are the most successful demographic in America is because they outwork everybody else. They're the most educated. They're the most family dedicated. They make sure that they're focused on one thing, which is building business. Back in the day, 100 years ago, President Coolidge famously said, "The business of America is business." Who's better at business than the Indian community? Who's more family-oriented than the Indian community? All the things that are conservative, the things that we think are important in America, the Indian community epitomizes. And I've said time and time again, as they become more organized and they become more focused on politics and they become more involved, they're going to dominate. They will literally be able to choose the next president of the United States once they become. You look at RJC, the Republican Jewish Coalition. They are a small portion of the Jewish community, which makes up less than the Indian diaspora. They're less successful, but yet they have every single presidential candidate in the Republican Party goes in front of them. Imagine what the Indian diaspora can do when they get organized. You had 2 Indian heritage presidential candidates this last time. You can see that's the future. You're going to see that as you look at what actually benefits a community, it's the conservative principles. It's allowing you to be successful as any billionaire, no matter who you are, that you're not held back by government. That is what's going to create this environment that when you realize that you have Democrats who are of Indian descent voting against your efforts to get into colleges, your efforts to not be overtaxed and overregulated so you can never make it to the billionaire club, then you'll realize whose side are you really on. This is about the American dream, that everybody comes here with a few dollars in their pocket, maybe not speaking great English, maybe not looking like everybody else, but in one generation being wildly successful beyond the dreams of anybody you know back in the home country. That's the American dream.
Give me your thoughts on J.D. Vance getting picked and obviously Usha Vance, his wife, being Indian American and obviously living the American dream herself.
Yeah, exactly. So Vance is a fellow Marine. I appreciate that. He's a smart guy. He's come from humble beginnings. You'll find a lot of Marines come from humble beginnings. They don't have a good family situation. They're kind of like the island of broken toys. And then you find your family in the Marine Corps. This guy who understands loyalty, understands hard work, he understands being creative. I think he graduated summa cum laude from Yale. So he's highly intelligent. He's well-spoken. He works well with Trump. I think that's going to help the presidency greatly.
And finally, your own political aspirations. I mean, I'm sure people have been asking you, what's next for you? Are you planning to stay in Congress for long haul, or are there some other seats you're looking at?
Well, you know, long term it's hard to say. We'll have to keep our ear to the ground and see how things play out. So many things determine your course of life. I mean, this is my 3rd career. I've been a Marine Corps pilot. I've been an ER doctor. Now I'm in Congress. We have 2 Senate seats in Georgia that need to be flipped, and we should have flipped it. Look at Governor Kemp dominated in the governor's race. We outperformed Herschel by 14 points in my district. We can get those Senate seats back. We're going to need those Senate seats back because we're probably going to get the Senate back this election cycle, but the next 2 cycles out there are unfriendly to us. In order to keep the control of the Senate, we need to win those 2 Georgia seats back, and I think we need to keep an eye on that.
And what kind of outreach, I know you do it personally, but what kind of outreach does the party do? Because I know President Trump has done an interview with me and done a lot of outreach personally, and it's usually that one-to-one dynamic. What are you going to tell about the state dynamic in Georgia to win more Indian Americans to come to your fold of the party? So,
first of all, one of the largest communities. We have over 100,000 just in my district alone. If you look at the influence that they bring, whether it be through their connections, I mean, I got 1,000 more primary votes in this election out of the Indian diaspora alone, and remember, only a few thousand, I mean, anywhere from maybe 70,000 people vote in a primary. And so that's a tremendous swing when you have people working door to door, when you have people saying, you take this 10 people, you take this 10 people, we're going to make sure they turn out and vote, we're going to make sure you get introduced to Rich McCormick or somebody else. That's real power. And if you look at the future of Georgia and the huge minority quotient we have, whether it be Indian, Black, Hispanic, Far East Asian, South American, it's incredibly diverse. But the one thing we all have in common is that we're all looking for the same advantages to succeed. That starts with educational choice, which is very much a conservative value, making sure we do have good control of crime, that we have good control of debt, that we have the American dream, we have the freedoms that were allotted to us. That's all part of the Conservative Party.
Congressman McCormick, great to see you once again.
My pleasure. God bless.